Hi, I'm Gregory. I'm with JCACounseling. Today's video is a little bit of a heavier video. Today we're going to talk about suicide, how to talk to someone if you fear they're suicidal, and how to support them if you do find out someone is suicidal. Before we get started, I want you to know that there are a lot of resources in the description below. This is a very important topic, and we want to make sure you have everything you need to help your loved one or to help yourself in this situation. To start with, I want to say that suicide is real. People do die by suicide. As a culture, it's not a fun topic to think about or talk about, so we usually don't. Sometimes when people pass away by suicide, we don't even talk about how they died, but it does happen. I have personally lost 3 people to suicide. People I care about, people I love. An uncle and 2 really good friends. So this topic is very important to me and can be a very emotional one. As a society, we've lost really wonderful people to suicide as well. We have lost Kate Spade, Robin Williams, and Anthony Bourdain. To really kind of break the ice of how real suicide is, here are some suicide statistics. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. 47,000 Americans died by suicide in 2017. On average, there is 129 suicides a day, and these suicide rates are higher in first responders and medical professionals. According to the book, How People Die by Suicide, there are 3 things that you need to kind of cross that threshold to truly attempt. First is emotional or physical pain. Emotional pain, depression, sadness, that weight. Physical pain, chronic pain, an injury, or a chronic health condition. All apply. This pain can be so overwhelming. It makes the idea of the future feel impossible, or it just robs all hope for having a positive, constructive, good life. The second thing is feeling alone. Now this is perceptional. I feel alone. I'm in a crowded room and I feel more alone than ever. Or it can be physical. I am alone. I'm isolated. A lot of that's been going on in the last year. This also can be feeling like a burden, feeling like I'm a weight to everyone else. There's no point of being here. I have no purpose, and wanting to kind of take away that burden from everybody else. That's really dangerous when someone's having thoughts like that. And you may notice them, just people talk like that, of, no one needs me, or there's no point to me being around. That's some warning signs to really ask the question. Third is crossing the threshold of death. And what I mean by that is you either have attempted and practiced so your body gets used to the idea, or you're around death a lot. And that's why the ER professionals and the first responders have higher rates of suicide, because they're around death all the time. And the reason this is because our body has a built-in mechanism to keep us alive. If you were to try to drown yourself at the bottom of a pool, your body would start swimming once it got to the point where it really needed air. Your body's built to protect itself. And because of that, usually suicide attempts don't work, because at the last minute we change our mind and we do something to save ourselves. And so practicing and rehearsing is what kind of diminishes that auto response and makes it more possible to follow through. There's been one study done. They were interviewing people who jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge. A certain percentage of people make it and don't pass away. And so they were able to interview those folks. As one person said, as I was walking up the bridge, if one person smiled at me, I wouldn't have done it. So that's how much reaching to somebody, connecting with somebody, asking them the question, how key and important that is. And so let's talk about the next piece. If you suspect someone is suicidal, the important thing is to ask. Not ask, hey, how you feeling? Ask directly. Hey, I've noticed a change in your mood lately. Have you ever been thinking about dying or not being here? You don't have to use the word suicide. If you use the word suicide, people usually deny it because it's just kind of a heavy word. But have you been thinking about not being here? Or have you been thinking about or having any thoughts of death and dying? That kind of makes it a little bit more approachable for them to answer. It's more of an open-ended question. Then saving space for them to answer it, because that's a hard thing to answer if it's true. So not filling the space with chatter. It's okay if you do, just sitting back and giving them space to answer. Sometimes it's just a sheepish nod. Sometimes it's a yeah, but giving them the space to answer that question and say, and then not freaking out when you hear the answer. Just at that point, reaching out, hand on the shoulder, I'm here with you. Thank you for sharing that with me. I care so much about you. And so in that moment, you're with them. You're connecting with them, which is one of the three. In my practice, what I see is when somebody says it out loud, it almost kind of grounds them how real it is. You can get lost in your head and lost in your thoughts. But when you say something out loud, it kind of almost shocks that person of, whoa, I am thinking about dying. Whoa, that is a big deal. And that kind of helps them take a moment and pause and think about how they're thinking. So sometimes just them talking about it and having the question asked is so key. And then that presence, I'm with you, I care about you, this is not freaking me out, is so key too. So they know, oh wait, this person knows and they care. And they're not making a big deal out of it. They're not, blowing it out of proportion. Next, you really need to know, is this just passing thoughts, or is there really a plan? And is there really a means? That's something we assess for in counseling. A plan is how they will do it. And so the next question I'll ask after I show caring and compassion and presence is, have you thought about how it might happen? What do you have a vision of what it might be? And then again, sitting back and letting them talk about it. Sometimes it's no, ooh, I don't think so. I couldn't do that. Then that's information for you. But it's, yeah, my thoughts are ... fill in the blank here. That's when it is time to make sure they're not alone and get them support immediately. And then if there's a means, the means is how they might actually do it. So if they say, I want to overdose on something, or if I want to use this weapon, do they have access to that weapon? Do they actually have one? Do they actually have whatever they want to overdose on? And so if there's a means, then that's even higher of a warning sign. Definitely make sure that means is no longer in their environment. There are warning signs and protective factors. Protective factors are having a connection to someone, a close connection, feeling that they have a purpose. This can be even just taking care of a child or taking care of a pet. You can ask questions like, well, who needs you? Having plans for the future, having hope for the future, making a future plan. If they have a trip they're really looking forward to, that's a protective factor. Also, not being alone. Some of the risk factors are using alcohol and drugs, previous suicide attempts, depression, any kind of mental health, schizophrenia, bipolar diagnosis, feeling alone and truly being alone, not having any support around, having access to weapons. And so what's important is these warning signs are so that you can kind of see how serious is this. And then if there's protective factors, then you can also know, okay, there's some things in place to kind of keep them safe. So is it time to drive them to the hospital right now or not? If someone's even slightly thinking about this, they need to be in the care of a professional, a counselor and a psychiatrist. If you want to see a video on what the difference between a counselor and psychiatrist is, please, you can click right here. A counselor is who will sit with you and talk with you. A psychiatrist is medication, a thorough assessment. You'll need both if they're thinking that way, because there's usually some form of depression involved and that needs to be medically treated. Last thing I'll say is remember to take care of yourself. When you love someone who is thinking like this, it is heartbreaking. It's like your whole body will hurt when someone's going through something like this that you care about, because you're scared. And you love them, and the idea that they're in this much pain, that they're thinking this way, is heartbreaking. And you don't want anything bad to happen to them. So this is also a time when you need to take care of yourself. When you're sitting with somebody and talking to them about suicide, something as big and heavy as suicide, you are there for them. You're a container for them. But when you're done, when you're not with them, when they're with somebody else, or it's the end of the night and you're laying in bed, that's when you kind of need to have space for you, for your emotion, how you feel about this. This is a big deal. And you need to give yourself space for that. You don't need to be strong for somebody else 100% of the time, because you will burn out and you will wear out and you won't be able to be there for them later. And so it's important to take time for yourself. Make sure they're with somebody else. Give yourself a break. Go out to eat, go on a walk, catch your breath, take a long bath, whatever you need to do to kind of and give yourself permission to do that self-care. I hope this video was helpful. If any way we can support you, please let us know. Our contact information is below, and there's a link for you to sign up for us to call you when it's convenient for you is there as well. To see more of these videos, please push the subscribe button. Also, please share this with others because you never know who may be struggling in silence. You never know who this could help next. Thanks. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.